Hi all. A lot of students are asking me that now that CAT is over, how do I focus on that? What should be my plan for the next 30 days for that? So here I am. I'll be giving you exactly what you should do in the next 30 days before the ZAT exam. So let us first identify our priorities before the ZAT exam. The biggest number one priority should be decision making. So decision making is the section which will either make or break your ZAT attempt. So you have to put this as priority number one. So how do you prepare for decision making? So in our crash course, we have identified the different types of decision making sets that have come in ZAT in the previous years. We have explained how exactly you should approach them, what should be your thinking and reasoning behind each different type of set. So I want you to first identify the different sets that have come. If you have taken our crash course, you can directly use our crash course to see them. You should also solve a lot of decision making sets. So you have access to many decision making sets from our study room platform. So please solve also. So doing that will help you to understand exactly how to approach the different decision making sets. For students who have not taken our course, I would suggest that go through every single previous year decision making set that has come. It is extremely important that you solve those sets to understand what needs to be done in these kind of cases. The decision making cutoff is low. It is generally in single digits. But even then people struggle to clear that single digit cutoff because there is a lot of reasoning, thinking and subjectivity involved. So I want you to make this the first priority as far as that is concerned. What is the second priority as far as that is concerned? If you have already prepared for CAT, if you have done the hard work for CAT, then your work that has to be done for that is much easier. In terms of quant, what you need to focus in on is statistics, mean, median, mode, standard deviation, trigonometric identities, data interpretation, basically speed calculation. Here you do not have access to a calculator, so you need to be able to solve faster and solve mentally more. So I need you to actually brush up on quick calculation techniques, data approximation techniques. All of these will become important in ZAT. The third most important part is verbal. Now in verbal, the verbal portion in ZAT is not exactly the same as CAT, but there is significant overlap. The different parts are, there are poem RCs. This requires you to understand poems. I don't understand poems, but I have devised a way of actually reading a poem and then understanding the poem using the questions and options that are there. So using that also you can try to answer the poem RCs. Apart from poems, the new other types of questions which are different in ZAT are grammar questions. Grammar questions come quite a bit in ZAT, so you have to prepare for the different grammatical concepts that are asked. But don't worry, the number of grammatical concepts that are actually asked in ZAT are very limited. You can actually go through every previous year paper and note down the grammatical concept involved. There aren't that many different concepts involved. If you learn each of those concepts, it would be enough to crack all the grammar questions that come. There are hardly, I would say, 7-8 concepts involved. Most of them are repeated year after year. So if you learn those 7-8 grammar concepts involved, you would be easily acing the grammar questions in ZAT. Then there is the vocabulary based questions, which are questions on idioms and phrases, on correct usage of verbs and tenses, correct usage of prepositions. Again, over here, these are limited number of concepts. We have covered every single concept in our crash course, but even then, if you just go through the previous year's papers, you can easily compile a list of all the concepts that are involved. Even if you are not going through our crash course, even if you are not buying our crash course, please check the schedule that is there. The schedule tells you exactly the concepts that are involved. So there you can actually see that, okay, I have to focus on analogies, on preposition errors. All of these concepts will actually come in ZAT. And if you can focus on that, if you can learn that, you will definitely crack ZAT. ZAT is something that is extremely doable. You can definitely crack it. You have to essentially focus on these priority areas. So for ZAT, the priority number one should be decision making. I want you to solve a lot of ZAT mocks, solve a lot of decision making practice sets, and see every single previous year ZAT previous paper. All of the ZAT previous papers have been uploaded on Crackoo. They are completely freely available. You can download them, solve them as PDFs. You can also take them in the exam format. So it is extremely important that you do this to clear decision making exam. Solving a lot of previous year's papers and mocks and study room questions and understanding the different types of sets that come in decision making is the most important task. That is the first priority. Second priority is understanding what is additional part in quant. So there is very limited extra portion. You have to cover that. You have to practice that. Heights and distances, trigonometry, and statistics. This is the extra part as such, very small extra part, but you have to do it. There will be 1 to 2 questions from each of them, and I want you to be able to solve them. The third extra part, which is there in verbal, the verbal extra part is kind of significant because there is vocabulary based questions, grammar based questions, critical reasoning based questions. So all of these will require some extra effort. So basically focus on these extra areas first. If you have prepared for CAT, if you have not prepared for CAT, focus on these extra areas plus basics of arithmetic, algebra and geometry. Like CAT, the focus in that is also mostly on arithmetic, algebra and geometry. If you do that plus the additional areas, they would be enough to actually clear that, the sectional cutoffs. Arithmetic, algebra, geometry, number systems are the basic things that are asked in that, probability to an extent, and the extra bits that I mentioned. So if you have already prepared for CAT, the path in front of you is very clear. Top priority is decision making. Top priority is verbal parts, grammar, sentence correction, vocabulary and critical reasoning. And third priority is quants, extra topics as such. If you have not prepared for CAT, first thing is that focus on these extra parts as well as prepare for the CAT revision, do a revision of all the concepts which are common to both CAT and SAT. So this is the basic idea of how you should go ahead and use the next 30 days. Now, for those who are looking at SAT, who are looking to convert the SAT call in XLRI, there is another important thing that you need to focus on, which is general knowledge. General knowledge is not used for calculating your percentile. It is not used for determining your calls. But general knowledge is required when you are actually giving your interview exam. So basically, the SAT exam is in two parts. First is your quant, verbal and the decision making section, and the second part is your essay and GK question. I'll come to essay in a minute. So GK question, there are 25 questions. There is no negative marking. These questions generally are based on current affairs. If you have brushed up on the basic concepts of the last 1 year, you will find solving these questions to be very easy. Over here, this is not going to help your percentile. This is not going to make a difference to your percentile. This will not affect your chances of getting a call. But this will affect your chances of converting a call, because XLRI wants students who are well read, who are aware of what is going around them. So you need a decent GK score. You do not need an incredible GK score. You need a decent GK score. So this is an additional work that you have to do. Spend a few days brushing up on GK topics. We have GK PDFs compiled. So you will have access to those GK PDFs. You can brush up on all the GK happenings that have occurred in the last 1 year. Start from January till November, brush up on each of the events that have happened in the last year, who won what award, which book won which prize, etc. All of these are important. You can read them in one afternoon as such, and this is important to clear that. The last part is essay. Essay writing is again like GK, it is going to be evaluated just before your interview. It is going to enable the interview part of your like selection process. So it is not going to affect your percentile, it is not going to affect your calls. In fact, till you actually go to the interview, your essay will not even be evaluated. But what will happen is that your essay will give the interviewers an idea about how well informed you are, how articulate you are, whether or not you are able to reason out an argument or not. So it is important that you actually are able to write proper essays. So in addition with your other preparation which I have mentioned for the exam, I want you for every week to write one essay. So take the previous year's SAT papers, take the essay topics from them, take the prompt from them, and I want you to write. How do you write an essay? I have explained that how to write the essay for SAT in detail in the course. But the basic idea is that you should be able to write a introduction, the main argument and a conclusion. These are, you should always target 3 paragraphs. I have to write 3 coherent paragraphs. Introduction will be filled with context. Any given argument or any given prompt has to be situated in some context. So if you say that India's new parliament building, so the context is that, okay, India is growing at a very healthy pace. People are looking at India with a lot of pride. You set it up in a specific context as such. Then you can give your main argument, and once you give the main argument, it is imperative that you conclude the essay. If you are able to write introduction, main argument and conclusion, irrespective of how good the main argument is or not, if you do not write the conclusion, it will affect your grade in the essay writing. So idea is that for your essay writing, I want you to practice one essay every week. This will also get you in the habit of writing, which is also very, very important for SAT, where you will force yourself to think and write and force yourself to articulate ideas. These are helpful not just for essay writing, but also for CR, also for RCS such. So I want you to actually work on these important areas before that. So with that, I'll leave you and best of luck. I'm sure that all of you guys, if you put in the effort, this is an exam which will definitely reward you. So best of luck for that.